What's happening, sport fans? I'm Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. Hope you're having a good day. Let's see who we got here, shall we? We'll do a little roll call. Let's see who we got here. Jason P., good to see you. Lisa Trimble, what's happening? Robert Hall, hello, Anna. Yadira, Dale Cox, good to see you. Robert, Sweet Liberty, Deanna Downey, good to see you. Hey, Pebbles, you're a klutz and should not be around sharp things. Well, then we need to keep you away from sharp things. Dale Cox, good to see you. Yarn Prepper, how are you? Good to see you. Kristen Melinda, good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. Hey, Dale Cox again. Let's see. Nesquik Milk. Good evening, Tommy and chat. Glad to listen and tune in while working on some homework for the night. My goodness, you have homework. Yee. I'm pretty sure they used to give me homework. Hindsight being 2020, I wish I had done it. You know, life could have been a whole lot different. Dennis N., good to see you. Hello, Teresa. How are you? I live for now. Good to see you. While you're ready for bed, oh, that's perfect. I put people to sleep. You're in the right place at the right time. DNV, good to see you. Hello, Marion Calabro. Cassandra, good to see you. You know, Cassandra, when I was growing up, I knew a girl named Cassandra. And if I've already told you this story, I apologize. But every single time I saw her answer to everything was, you need a lewd. And she was always on one and always like talked really, really slow. And it's like, it didn't matter what was happening in your life. She'd go, you need a lewd. She was an awful lot of fun. Wasn't burdened by deep thought, but she was fun to be around. DJ Daddy-O, what's up, Mr. T? It's my man. Mr. T's been around a very, very long time on the boat. And I consider him a close friend. I know him. I know his family. I was going to say I know his little boy, but his little boy isn't little anymore. In fact, he's probably the biggest dude. If we were all here, his kid would be the biggest guy on the boat. He got big quick. Jay Rainbow, good to see you. Susie Q, how are you? LeBones Creations, how are you? Amber Lowe, good to see you, Amber Lowe. Have I ever said hello to you? If I have not, welcome. Welcome. Darla, how are you, Darla? Good to see you. Helena Flock of Swan Boats. It's good to see you. Hope Between My Dreams. How are you? Mary E. Berens-Oni. Glad that you're here. Living My Best Life at 60. Well, that's just good stuff. Angie Barnes. Good to see you. Hello, Danette McClure. Pebbles. How are you? Caroline in Canada. Good to see you. Hello, Lori E. Matrix Rabbit. Goosebump 801. Glad to see that I'm back in Bug Tussle. Well, I am back in Bug Tussle. Indigo's Insights. Scientolo T. Let me screw that up. Good to see you. Pat Jonas. Zell, what's up? Drayton. Good to see you. Happy birthday, who? Hope Between the Dreams. Is this really your birthday? Is this the rumor on the tier? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Hope Between the Dreams. Happy birthday to you. I hope you get a crap load more. I don't remember how it goes. Something along those lines. Hey, Zelda, how you been? Love and Failure. Okay. Hell of a name. Tiffinisms. Okay. Hello, Butterfly. That would be AKA Pajama Pixie. Been out watching the beautiful crescent moon. She's so pretty tonight. You know, I looked at the crescent moon. I think it was last night. It might have been last night. I was standing outside and I thought to myself, that every time I see it, it's just that Cheshire Cat grin. It reminds me so much of the Cheshire Cat. I'm a fan. I don't know if you knew that. Big fan of the Cheshire Cat. Big fan of the Cheshire Cat. Hello, Spike. The Guy. Hey, The Guy. Good to see you. Glad you're here. We're going to fire this thing up here in a minute. Tommy Bird. You wish someone would let you... oh, wow. What did that say? You wish someone would let you live your best life? Let me tell you something, brother. Sounds good. Would you even know what to ask for? Huh? If they gave you one wish that would make all your dreams come true, would you even know what to ask for? Gaslit, good to see you. Hello, Denise. And you know, the sad thing is this. If they gave you one wish, how many people do you think would take that wish to change someone else? Huh? You know, like someone that they've been married a long time and the husband's driving them nuts. And if they would just stop doing this, honestly, I don't know if most people would know what to do with a wish. And don't cheese out and say, I'd wish for 5 more, because you know genies got hip to that like 4 centuries ago. There are no dumb genies left. Although they are trapped in a bottle. Maybe not, I don't know. I volunteered at a big brother, big sister walk today. Very rewarding. I would imagine that was. Proud of you. What a cool thing to do. I can do soup kitchens. There's some things that I can volunteer at. Big brothers, big sisters, felons have a very difficult time volunteering there. I'm not mad at them about that. I'm really not. I think that's probably a good thing. You know what I mean? Not everybody changes. And even those of us who change, you know, there's just I guess the reality is that there's just part of that life that you're never going to be able to get rid of, even if you want to. You know what I mean? It's ingrained into you. It's just, I don't know. If I'm in public, right? If I'm in public and a guy grabs a girl and starts shaking the hell out of her or hits her, I'm going to hit that guy. There ain't a chance on God's green earth I'm not going to hit that guy. That's probably not smart, right? It's really probably pretty stupid, right? What I should do is just walk away, because I don't need the hassle, and there's somebody else that can handle that. And I'll bet you the farm they'll just keep walking. And I know that we don't want to believe that as people, right? We don't want to believe that, right? Somebody would do something, right? Kitty Genovese. You guys know that name? Anybody ring a bell for Kitty Genovese? Hey, Crush, good to see you. Joe Virus. Holy hell. Joe Virus. I'll be damned. Good to see you, Joe. Glad that you're here. Anybody remember that name? Anybody old here? It's got to be somebody old here. Or if there's a lawyer here, they're going to know that name. They will definitely know that name. Kim is Blue. Good to see you. I have met Seamus. Seamus is a lovely animal. Really got a great personality. You were using a neti pot. Well, that's legit. That's legit. All right. I'm not sure if you're not sure if you could live in a town called Bug Tussle. You know what? It would probably get to you. You never know. I'll be really honest. I would not have a problem living in a place called Bug Tussle. And this Bug Tussle happens to be absolutely breathtaking. It's a really beautiful place. It really is. It has so much going for it. It really does. Its proximity to town, the way it's set up. This is just, it's the best of everything. It's the best of everything. There's green all over the place. You know, the air is clean. And if you want city life, 20-minute ride. But if you don't, you're not anywhere near it. It's a beautiful, beautiful town. Bug Tussle is fantastic. That's my personal opinion anyway. That's my personal opinion. Okay, now I'm not seeing anybody talking about Kitty Genovese. I look better surrounded by trees and grass than by pebbles and cactus. Probably some truth to that. I think I probably look better with both than I do looking through a prison door. You know, I think there's probably some truth to that. And the longer, you know, honestly, people, the longer I'm out and the more that I kind of evolve and the more that I kind of start to acclimate toward the society that I live in, sadly, the more I realize I don't fit in. I don't fit in at all. Where I'm toxically masculine, right? In a time when that's not particularly cool. I've gotten shit on. I got shit on recently for a audio that I left threatening someone. And I want to tell you something, people. If I threaten you, both of us will be aware of the fact that I threatened you. I'm not big on threatening people, but if I did it, I promise you would know. I didn't threaten this person. I didn't even raise my voice. But the narrative went around that, you know, Tommy the dangerous convict is out scaring people. And nothing should shock me at this point. But things still do. Is the way it is, right? Loving Failure says, I wish my wife would feel at peace. I do too. I wish your wife would feel at peace. Can we get some ones? Get some ones up there for his wife. Peace is a beautiful thing, you know? I wish that for everybody. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I could think of one or two pricks that I wouldn't want to have peace. Honestly, sad but true. Maybe I need a little bit more work on myself. Can't think of a woman that I don't want peace for, though. How's that? My sister, George. You're on time? Yeah, you know. It's close enough. Close enough to on time. Yeah. Andrew Wise, how are you? You come on like a dream, peaches and cream, lips like strawberry wine. I'll be darned. Yes, people change, just not always in the ways we wish they would collectively. You know what? There is a whole damn show right there. There is. Ever had a friend that was a junkie get sober and you hate the sober person? Seriously. And I don't mean while you're using, because while you're using, anyone that gets sober, you're going to hate, right? It's the same thing every time too. Like the person doesn't have to say a word. They can just roll up and go, "Hey, how you doing, man?" And you go, "Hey, you want to get high?" No, I quit, man. It's been like 9 months, but it's been good seeing you guys. They'll walk off and everyone will be like, "That dude thinks he's better than everybody." But the people that know him probably aren't saying that. V. McWilliams, third time today? Couldn't possibly be the third time today. This is the first show I've done. Oh, you mean within the greater SBTV community? Can't really lump me in with those people, you know. I'm not really considered SBTV. Tommy, the stream with Shawn was so good. I was rewatching it just now, and then you magically appeared again. Well, there you go. That was I'm going to tell you something. I cannot even begin to tell you the amount of fun that I have going on the Shawn Atwood program. I can't. He's such a good guy to work with. You know, he really is. He's just such a good guy to work with. He asks great questions. And I'm not busting on anybody that has interviewed me in the past, because I've been interviewed by some great people. But Shawn's different. He really is. He's got a very unique style. Shawn wants to shut up and let you talk. And he's like, he'll draw it out of you, because a pause will be so pregnant that if you don't continue to talk, you start feeling a little uncomfortable. You think you would wish for world peace, Deanna Downey? I love that. I do. I really do. I love that. And I would love that to think that most people would wish for that. I wouldn't. Isn't that terrible? I'm too self-centered, I think, to wish for world peace. That's a terrible thing to say, but I'm just being honest. Good health for everyone, Zelda. That would be a hell of a wish. Goosebumps 801 says, "You seem down tonight, Tommy. Well, then use your wish to lift me up. What the heck's the matter with you? Everybody here's got a wish. You didn't even mention me." I'm kidding, by the way, Goosebump. Probably just, I think I'm probably tired. In fact, I know I'm tired. But I'm okay. I promise you I'm okay. Just a little tired. But I'll bounce back. It always works that way, doesn't it? Get a little sleep, get up, look at the day through a new light. Here we go again. Sending prayers your way. I'm not sure where you're at, but I am within the cone. You know, people, thoughts and prayers for everybody that is in the way of this storm. I know my friend Lisa is. It sounds like Jay Rambo might be. There's a lot of people that we care about here, and I'm sure that are on all the other channels too, that are in the way of this storm, and that bums me out. So let's keep them in our thoughts and prayers, huh? Tommy, Diddy's mom just made a statement on TMZ. Holy hell! If it's on TMZ, you can count on it. Looks like that link I sent you from weeks ago is true. I'll be damned. I'm going to chase that down, and I promise we'll do a heck of a show on it. Probably tomorrow. Interesting. Now I want to hang up on all of you and start researching it. I'm kidding. I don't really want to, but I'm very much looking forward to chasing that down. Some nobody just showed up here. Good to see you, some nobody. Kitty's case was definitely sad. Well, there you go. Right? Finally, somebody that knows who Kitty is. Kitty's case was sad. That's probably it. We'll put that up there. Let me tell you about Kitty's case. Here's what happened with Kitty. Kitty was assaulted in a very horrific, vicious way. And it took a very long time. And during that time, she screamed for help for a really long time. And she did it for all intents and purposes in a courtyard where there was no chance in hell that every person there did not hear her. And the curtains went down because nobody wanted to get involved. Yeah, my sister George basically sums that up. Nobody did a thing. Am I okay, DNV? Yeah, you know. I've been better. I'm just trying to cope with me, people. You know what's up with me, right? I've been really open and really honest. Can you imagine trying to put up with me on a full-time basis? You guys get me in really small doses, right? You know, my poor son, right? My family, the people around me. This is a tough thing to put up with somebody that's struggling. And you know what? Every one of them has been a star about it. Honestly, all the people in my life have been so kind about everything that's going on and trying really, really hard to do everything they can to help me. There's nobody I could say anything bad about in my inner circle. Oh, I could say some bad things about some people, but not any of them that are in my inner circle. Yes, no one even called, says Goosebumps, and that's exactly the truth. And it's kind of a case that they talk about all the time in law school. It's used as the example of good Samaritans are not forced to be good Samaritans, right? They're not breaking the law by not picking up the phone and dialing 911 when they see a woman being viciously and you know what kind of assaulted. I hate to be that guy, but all of those people that decided that maybe they shouldn't call, I kind of hope they're smoking turds in hell. Speaking of which, you know, I went on when I was on the Shawn Atwood show earlier. A lot of people real interested in old Ashton Kutcher, right? A lot of people talking about old Ashton Kutcher. I'd be really curious to know what you guys think. Huh? What do you think? The bystander effect, correct. The bystander effect. Tommy, when you talk about bug tussle with pride, I can't help but think of Eugene Levy defending Schitt's Creek. And I am so here for it. I don't know Schitt's Creek. Sadly, I don't know what that is. Bug tussle does not need, I promise you, it does not need any defending. This is a beautiful place, man. Honestly, if you came here and you hung out for any length of time, you'll miss it when you leave. I promise you. When I leave, I always do. I miss it every time I'm gone. I look good in bug tussle. How about that? How about that? It's maybe it's the country air. What do you think? Could it be the country air? Sharona says, just finished packing and exercising. I needed this late night live. I haven't been home long enough to be leaving again, but it is what it is. I'm going to miss the foothills. Headed back to the flatland. Oh, no. I live in the foothills, so. Robert Hall says, question, Tommy, do you feel more relaxed in bug tussle? Usually. Usually this is a place that, you know, I have, compared to where I was living, this is really where I was far more in Zen, right? Really, and far happier. Sadly, this is continuing to change and move, and you know, I'm doing as good as can be expected, and as good as I've done in a long time. But I'm real tough on the people around me. I don't mean to be. It's not yelling and screaming and that kind of stuff. It's just I'm hard to be around, and that's kind of a bummer. Kiki, how are you? Good to see you. Cassie, good to see you. RSM, what's up? See, you guys got me all yazooed out, and I've been stuck on that since you did it. I'm not lying. I have been stuck on that since you did it. Love that band. Love that band. I remember the way that I acquired that record. I think I've told you the story before. I wahooed that record um, for no other reason other than the fact that I thought the album cover was so awesome. It was just such a cool album cover. I didn't know anything about the band, but I ended up really digging the band. People don't have a concept of assertiveness and masculinity. Wow. Wow. Who said that? Loving failure. Toxic masculinity is not a good thing anymore. They yell about it. The days of slapping people when they do something wrong, now that crap will land you in prison. And sadly, I think it was a better place when guys used to swing at each other when they had a problem. They don't do that anymore, right? They hide from one another. These days, they'll attack each other on social media, right? But they're not going to get together and swing at each other. Makes high school weird. People, if you read some of the statistics of the stuff that's going on in high school, like kids don't go to the prom anymore, and the average person ends up getting their driver's license when they're like 17. 17? Man, I was counting down the days, right? That was such a big deal. I wanted so badly to get a driver's license. Mary, that's a very kind thing to say, but you catch me in really small doses. You know what I'm saying? You catch me in really small doses. I'm hung up on things. There are things I'm hung up on, and I got to not be hung up on them because it's very convict-like, right? It's very convict-like. Unfortunately, there are terms I dragged from prison to the street that I'm never going to be okay with people calling me, right? And I guess you kind of got to get over that because people in the real world will say things that I promise you inside, what would happen is someone would say, oh, you say this person is this, this, and this. You got 24 hours to prove it. Clock's ticking. Go get me some paperwork. T, right? They want to see T. And if you don't have it, then you're in real trouble. But on the street, anybody can say anything they want, right? Anything they want, whenever they want. It's kind of weird. Not enough true masculinity in this world anymore, in my humble opinion, says Hope Between the Dreams. I agree with you. I agree with you. There's not enough. And I'll tell you something else. There's going to be a little less tomorrow because that's just how it works. It is. Sadly, that's just how it works. Yes, one more time. Kitty Genovese was killed screaming, and no one helped her. And it took a long time. This is not something that was over quickly. This took a long time. It's one of the worst stories ever. And you know what? It's an important story for a lot of reasons. Because I'll tell you what, some of it is, you know what, man, I just don't want to get involved. But a lot of it too is there wasn't a dude looking out that window that had any backbone, right? Toxic masculinity, listen carefully. If you look out the window and there's a guy beating on a woman and you don't go out and stomp a mud puddle where that guy's head used to be, I don't want to know you. And if you find that toxically masculine, you can unsubscribe from my channel because I promise you I'm never backing off of that. You can't put hands on a woman, right? You can't. And toxically masculine, I guess. There are things that you better not call me. Or if you do, you should hide in the part of the country that you're in. Because if I run into you, I also may want to put a mud puddle where your face is. Masculinity is only toxic to those who don't have any masculinity. That ought to be on a damn shirt. That really ought to be on a shirt. I like that one. Thank you, Lumen. It was, I really appreciate you being over there. Lumen says, Tommy, you were outstanding on Shawn Atwood earlier. You know how much fun it is to look out in the audience and see you guys? I don't turn the chat on until the second hour. You know, it's so easy to get caught up with what people are saying and then you kind of lose it. And, you know, if the trolls show up and are acting like idiots, I don't need anybody pulling me off of my game. So I usually don't watch, the comments until the second half, but I was feeling really good today. I watched a lot of comments today. It was fun. I really do love going on that channel. I can't tell you how much. Anna says, Tommy, I don't fit in. I choose my surroundings. Hubby, new kitten. And Reese and you and the family and friends here on the lifeboat. Love. Well, we're glad that you choose us. I mean that. And you know what? Everybody fits in here, right? Everybody fits in here. It's there's a lot of really crappy things about the internet. There really is. In fact, most of the stuff about the internet is just dangerous and disgusting. And the more time you spend on it, the more you feel like you're getting depressed. But there are people out there doing long form content that's cool as hell. People that care. I'm sorry. There are so many crocheting channels. There are so many channels on how to take apart an engine and put it back together. When people talk about what a cesspool this is, guess what? They're looking for it. For real. I mean, honestly, if all you look at is how to rebuild a watch, right? How much watches cost? Who makes what watch? Who makes this? Then I promise you, you're not going to get a bunch of rank stuff in your feed. You're going to get a bunch of stuff in your feed that has to do with watches or something right on. They'll try to work something else in, like guys that like watches usually really dig nice shoes, may come at you that way, but you're not going to get something that's so off the beaten path. You're like, what the hell is this? The algorithm knows what it's doing. It really does. If it makes you feel better, I don't fit in either. Pebbles, sleep well, please. End of the world as you know it. Oh, I'm gonna take you up to speed on that, Robert. I usually like to piss off the audience for a good 30 minutes of roll call, but I promise we're going to talk about the end of the world as we know it. I promise. V. McWilliams. Loving failure. Addiction is an attempt to solve a problem. If you take that addiction away, you must replace it with something else, or that problem will overwhelm you. What a great friggin' comment. Now, that's a great comment. There's no way to argue this. However, right? However, you can take the addiction away, providing you replace it. And you do not have to replace it with drugs, right? You have to replace it with a new life. And that means new programming. That means new friends. That means new everything. If you go, I'm going to change everything Tommy was talking about, except my friends. I mean, I've known these guys since 4th grade. You know what I mean? I'm not going to not hang out with my friends. You're going to get drunk and you probably won't make it a week. I promise. You hang out with 3 people who all drink and you're the cat that doesn't. What do you think the better odds are? They're going to talk you into drinking, or somehow you're going to get the 3 of them to quit. Do the math. I promise it's easy. I promise it is. Andra says, to be honest, I'm not well. Tomorrow, I'm getting some trigger point injections. And Tuesday, I'm getting an iron infusion. Just really hope these things help. Andra, can we get some thoughts and prayers? Yeah, there we go. I already see some. I don't know if you've done trigger point before. I have had amazing success with trigger point injections. I've had amazing success. They're not going to cure you, but they're going to buy you a period of time with no pain. And each time you go back, it should buy you a little bit more time. And it got to a point where I only had to do it every couple of weeks, which is crazy because the concept of a trigger point is they're putting Novocaine into the nerve and they should only numb it for about 8 hours. Some people are not candidates. So at 8 hours, it stops. The next time they try it, at 8 hours, it stops. Okay, when I tried it the first time, it went for like 8 hours and 40 minutes, somewhere in there. And the doctor was like, it can't, right? The pain had to have been back at 8 hours, which means you're open and receptive. You could literally train the receptors. And I can't tell you how many times I got trigger points or something, because if you're getting it done in the back, it's about every quarter of an inch all the way up and down like railroad tracks. I mean, I'd be in there with them sticking me for like 45 minutes. But on the bright side, I don't know if you've done them before, but the needles are as thin as hair. They don't hurt. And I'm telling you the truth. They don't. They just take up a lot of time. Question. How did you get to know Shawn Atwood? I've been reaching him for you've been watching him for a long time. This is going to sound awful. I don't even like saying this out loud, but I think I'm going to say it. You never know how anyone finds you. And I kind of assumed that it was his, he's got a producer that books a lot of his stuff. And I kind of assumed it was his producer. But before we went live the first time, he said to me, I love what you do. I've been checking out your channel, and everybody says stuff like that. But then he started to spit out a couple of videos that he particularly liked. And they weren't videos that everybody would know. Like if you say Danny Masterson, well, there's a decent chance everybody saw the Danny stuff. I got a lot of views on that. But he pulled some random show out and we started to talk. And No, he likes what I do. He has come over and checked this out, and he thought he particularly liked the coverage on Diddy. And he just wanted me to come over. And I was only going to go over. He said, it's about a 30-minute segment. He said, so it's going to be 30 minutes of you. And then right after you, there's going to be 30 minutes of someone else. And I said, just wave me off when we're, when we get to 30 minutes. And when we got close, he was like, keep going. We're having a good time. And I'm blessed that his audience seems to really like the lifeboat. And I'm not just saying me. You guys came out in force. I'm not blowing sunshine up your butt or any of that. But you guys showed up in force. Like when I go on that show, it's like the Lifeboat Great Britain. I mean, the whole audience shows up. And that's a huge deal, man. It's a huge deal for content creators. And it's way more fun for the person who's being interviewed. You don't feel like you're at an away game. You know what I mean? Felt like I was standing on the deck of a lifeboat. And that's fun. Lumen says Shawn's a character, and yeah, he's great at allowing his guests to be the guests. Even my brother mentioned that. I think Reese might have said that too. It's it takes a specific kind of talent to do that because you have to shut up, and dead air is uncomfortable, and you have to kind of get used to it so you can pull more out of your guests. But he's excellent at it. Darla says, that was your question. Here, let me put that up there then. Not too sharp, people. Not too sharp. I would wish my children and grandchildren good health always. I love that. That's a great wish. That really is. You would wish everyone healing, peace, love, and happiness. I kind of have a feeling the genie would be like, yeah, that's more than one wish. But I like the sentiment. Hey, Joe Virus, man. Tell your father we all said hello. Love you. Thank you for stopping by, man. I appreciate that. I know you're busy. I appreciate you stopping by. How was my flight? Well, there was more than one of them. You know what? I can't complain. I really can't. They were loud. There were kids on them. That's standard operating procedure. And I could complain, actually. There were some issues, but I was excited. When you're traveling to go somewhere, you put up with so much more than when you're traveling out. When you're leaving, you're always like, you're already in such a bad mood. I hate flying home. Maybe I'll drive next time. What do you think? But the flights weren't bad. I can't complain. I'm sorry. Jason P. Who are we saying hi to? Did I miss somebody? Let's see. Sorry, I just saw a name that I thought I might recognize, but I'm not seeing it. Okay. Could be my imagination, people. That's been known to happen. That has definitely been known to happen. I'm not the brightest bulb, Elena Flock of Swan Boat says, we know your heart, Tommy. That's a beautiful thing to say. It really is. That's a beautiful thing to say. I think that honestly, you guys would be bummed out if you could see it. I think it's probably a little bit darker than you would hope. And I'm just being real. And I struggle with this. There are parts of me that are dark. I don't act on the stuff. I don't do anything like that, but there are parts of me that are dark. I still find myself constantly wanting to crush people's larynx. I'm constantly there. I'll tell you right out. Here we go. I don't do really well when we live in a world now where, let me rephrase it because this will be a lot easier. I lived in a world where if a guy talked crap about you and you were upset about it, you could go to the shot caller and say, hey, that dude pissed me off. This is what he did. And the shot caller would go up to the guy and go, you two are going into that cell to figure out what's going on, right? Plain and simple. You're going to go in there and swing at each other, and this is going to get worked out. Now, I bet there's going to be plenty of people talking about how animalistic that is, and it's over that night. And 99 out of 100 times, those cats end up friends, right? It's just not a deal breaker. I watched one once. It was really funny. I saw a fight at a yard, and I said, man, I hope he's probably going to kill that dude tomorrow. And this old man said, in the time I've been here, I've watched them do that 6 times. Go in there, beat the piss out of each other, do what you do, and come back friends. That world doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't. Sadly, it just doesn't. The first guy that I fell in love with was very toxic, but I was so head over heels. I didn't see the red flags. Then, unfortunately, I just kept going back when I was basically told what he wanted. I'm sorry to hear that. It's hard, especially when you're young. It's just a difficult thing. How do you learn these things, right? You learn them by screwing up, right? Amber says, I predict a snowball has a better chance in hell than Smith has for release. Let's trash Smith for a minute. I may or may not have talked about this in the past. This woman does not deserve to be on the street. Sorry. She's making love calls from jail to people on the street. This is a woman who didn't just kill her children by drowning them. I promise you that's sleazy enough and she doesn't need any help. But she then tried to blame it on another race, right? This is a bad human being. Seriously, bad wiring. This is not the kind of, I made a mistake. We got in a fight. I punched the guy. He hit his head against the wall. He passed away. You planned this out, right? And what was the motive? I got kind of sick of being a mom. My favorite part of that story was they knew when she came out and said, let me tell you what happened. I was parked at the light and this car pulled up. That can't happen, right? The town that they live in, the lights are timed so that if someone's pulling up, right, they're going to get the green. There couldn't be somebody waiting. The way those lights are timed, that's impossible. It couldn't happen. So pretty slick. Instead of saying, you're lying, we know you're lying, they just let her talk. They let her dig a deeper hole and a deeper hole and a deeper hole. They let her describe the black people that did this, that of course didn't exist. And at the time you thought, good, they gave her a good I can't believe she's up for paper now. I can't believe it. I mean, it's been that long ago. It seems like yesterday. But I will tell you something right now. Ain't no chance in hell that they're going to let her out. Not on the first one. Certainly not on the second one. Do you know that she got pregnant while in jail? No conjugal visits, but she managed to get knocked up more than once. Do you think this girl's got her life together? Right? She's no one is suggesting that she was assaulted. She was trying to, by the way, you can't consent to a guard. The guard has authority. You cannot consent. But this was a very unusual situation. It wasn't, the poor guard, I think, got really trapped. This is a bad person, man. This is a really bad person. Nobody said Aaron Smith Levin did an episode on Kutcher. He did? Was it a good one? Huh? Was he talking about the, as it relates to, or just a history of it? Because you could talk about him vis-a-vis Danny Masterson, or you could talk about him about Diddy, right? He was very close friends with Diddy. A lot of smoke around this dude, and I have a feeling there's also some fire. This is a guy that, a lot of times people start feeling guilty, like maybe he backed away from from that and was, trying to get away from that life a little, and then you want to clean up your reputation. So, you start a foundation or a group that is going to help make sure that kids aren't trafficked. Well, I think that's a lovely sentiment. I really do. I think that's a lovely sentiment. But if you've been drugging people and R-ing them, I don't think anything you're going to do is going to sweep that under the carpet. Now, I'm not alleging he did that. I'm alleging his friends do that, right? I'm not alleging he does that. But boy, his friends like to. And I'll tell you this. I guess we live in a world full of effing pragmatic people, right? Where your career is so damn important that when you look through a window and see a woman lying on the ground in what you think is a pool of blood, you can say he thought it was red wine. No one's that stupid. But let's assume, right, whatever. He looked in, he knew something was up. He didn't call the police, right? He didn't. He called his best friend and his agent. And that's the world we live in, right? That's the world we live in. And if Danny, if they overturned his case on appeal, right, those guys would be shooting shows with him if they thought they could get views. And that's the world we live in. Hopefully this cat doesn't get out for the next 30 years. He was a menace to society, and that's the truth. Danny Masters was a stone cold piece of shit. Really, really a bad human being. And from Massachusetts says, I think Ashton is pretty damn guilty of the same crap as his friends. Well, here's the thing. And Lumen says, Ashton is a sick puppy. Here's what I would say. And I've said this before. If you hang out with, if you had met me at different times in my life, the people that I hung out with would be a representation of what I do at night or what I do during the day, because you hang out with like-minded individuals. So for a long chunk of my life, if you found my friends, they smoked pot, they skied, and they probably had a very open-minded in terms of fracturing the law, right? Most of them, even if they weren't criminals, they certainly weren't freaked out by criminals, that kind of thing. Why were those my friends? Because I was a criminal, right? I did a bunch of drugs and I skied all day. Obviously, my friends are going to be the same people. Well, Ashton likes to hang out with people. Let's see. 2 people that he has spent a lot of time with have been accused, officially charged of this kind of conduct. But that's not the only person from that group that got called on this, is it? Allegedly, I wish I could do that in a song. We need a song that goes allegedly, allegedly, so I can then start just talking. But allegedly, this is a recurring theme. When you watch old Ashton on talk shows joking about trying to stick his tongue in Mila Kunis's mouth the first time they ever got together to film, and how Danny Masterson was betting him $10 he couldn't get his tongue in her mouth. If they're 15 and 16, that's funny, right? It's joking. Probably sounded funny then, but when you look back and you're like, dude was 19, she was 15, that's starting to get creepy, right? That's not quite right. It really isn't. I think Ashton is pretty damn guilty of the same crap as his friends, and I agree. But all I can tell you is that that's my opinion. All I can tell you is that is my opinion. I did a show once where I talked about this, but I'll throw it out again, and I shouldn't because it just gives the trolls so much fun, but I don't give a crap. I had a statutory case with a 15-year-old. Did you hear that? Okay. They'll take this clip. I had a statutory case with a 15-year-old. Make you think less of me, doesn't it? I was 16. Does that change it? So I had a case where a girl was, less than a year younger than me. In fact, she was less than 6 months younger than me. Irrelevant. The point is, it starts getting a little creepier when those ages get different, right? When I was in college, I knew guys that were 19 that were dating 17-year-olds, right? They maybe even a 16-year-old, but I'll tell you something right now, not today. Not freaking today. We live in a very, very different culture, and I think it probably should be, we're changing in most ways for the better. Unfortunately, we're trying to kill the boy, okay? We don't want testosterone anymore, and we're doing everything possible to rub the boy off the planet. God forbid, they will literally kick kids out of kindergarten for making a finger like this. We've got issues. I mean, it's that knee-jerk crap. We want to make stuff better, but we always get so far out there. The number of monsters out there is becoming depressingly clear. That's why people who shine the light of truth are so important. Well, that's a really great comment. It really is. It's a beautiful comment. Krista Melinda says, I liked the movie The Butterfly Effect, but given what I know now about Kutcher, no me gusta. He's not one of my favorite people. Yeah, me either. Me either. And you know what? He had a shot, didn't he? He really did. He had a shot. And it makes you wonder, did they have dirt on him? Why, in the name of sweet God, would you have written that letter? If they didn't have something on you, if they didn't have an ability to blackmail you, why would you write that letter? Right? Now, let's just say hypothetically, right? Hypothetically, you got to write that letter. Like someone, you've been pressured. You could write a letter that says, you know what? I knew this guy and he was a good person. He went out of his way to help people. Not exactly sure at what point he became an absolute scumbag, right? But prior to that, he acted like a human being. I mean, if the note was like that, but if you listen to that crap that Kutcher and his wife read out, Oh my God, man. They talked about, bring him by. I'd let him babysit. I trust him with whoa, what? What? Man. Andra says, Kutcher, 100% guilty, even if not with the Diddy case. His relationship with Kunis. Yeah. The relationship with his old lady definitely was a problem when it started, right? That's not, the age was wrong, and that was enough to be a crime. It really was. Yeah, Pat Jonas says if she could have one wish, it would be for large organizations and churches to use their funds to actually help the homeless, the poor, in third world countries, to actually improve their lives. What a great concept. What a great, the moral of this story, huh? If you're a genie and you're getting ready to show up and give somebody on the lifeboat 3 wishes, don't give them to me. I mean, 1 wish, don't give it to me. I'm obviously not any good at this. Right? There are people who are making way better wishes, man. You know what I mean? I'm like, I wanted simple stuff. You guys are like, yeah, you know what I'm like? How about world peace? Yeah, I didn't think about that. I mean, yeah, it would be nice to take care of that. I just want to take care of me. Yeah, we need to give it to someone else. You have missed so many lives recently. Oh, well, I'm glad that you're here. It happens. One of the nice things about the boat is we're pretty constant. I mean, we're Northern Star, damn near constant. We go up every day. So, if you miss a boat in the beginning, thank God for everybody in the beginning, because in the beginning it was really hard, and you'd have, if you got 16 people that's your entire audience, if 4 miss a show, it gets real hard to get in front of the microphone and do a show and not feel like, man, we're failing. And for that reason, that group of people didn't miss a show. God bless them. Even the ones that have left, God bless them. It was a special time, and it's the reason we're still around, I promise you. Spike says, Ashton is sketchy. He's friendly with Diddy and Danny Masterson. They were calling themselves the Rat Pack, the new Rat Pack, back when they were partying, trying to like they were Sinatra and that whole crew. I don't remember Sinatra and his crew all being accused of drugging people, but who knows? I'm not suggesting they were great people, but I think it's a lot worse now. Can you clone me? You wouldn't want to clone me. I promise you wouldn't want to clone me. But here's the thing. I don't know if you've ever heard me do a show about this, right? Ashton may have been involved in his girlfriend's death, allegedly, right? I don't know if he was or not, but if his dumbass had made a phone call instantly, am I saying that they would have saved her? Who knows, right? Maybe not. Maybe not. But they might have caught the guy. They might have got there in time to catch the dude, right? And instead, that man went on to kill other people. I wonder how he sleeps. I wonder if on nights when he has insomnia, because I know what I think about when I can't sleep, I wonder if that gets to him. She was a beautiful girl, too. Poor girl. Young, had everything going for her. I look happy because I'm with Reese. Well, thank you, Mary. What a kind thing to say. Sandra says, hey there, Tommy. I'm watching your last video with Shawn, so I'll have to catch this later. I hope that you have a wonderful time in Tennessee. Thank you. What a kind thing to say. Is Ashton in Scientology? No, loving failure. Ashton is not in Scientology. However, he spent a lot of time at the Celebrity Center. There's a lot of pictures of him, even doing like the skits that they would do there. He would take place in those skits. And my understanding was that Masterson brought him in there all the time. And you know what? If you're famous, I bet that's a pretty pimpy place to hang out, right? It's like a cathedral to the famous. Come on in here. We'll treat you better than everybody else. We have slaves, right? That will help you. What would you call it? Signed a 1 billion year contract that you don't get paid for. I'd call that slavery, but that's just me. Indigo's Insight. Comment, thank you for being open about your struggles. Those of us who care about you don't see you as a burden. Much love to you. Well, that's a very kind thing to say. That's a very, very kind thing to say. Hey, Crystal Primo, good to see you. Yes, I got safe to Tennessee. I'm I'm trying really hard, people. I'll tell you, I'm trying really hard, and I'm putting things in place to try to live my life so that I don't hurt people and so that I protect myself. It may sound really silly. That was so easy throughout my life. That was such an easy thing to do throughout my life, and it's not anymore. Now I have to rely on things like taking notes and doing things, and so that I can remember, and sitting down and journaling things before I make decisions, and things of that nature. And what's sad is the stuff that's hardwired into you, that doesn't go away. The stuff that's hardwired into you, you're stuck with. It's it's all the new concepts and things that you got to work on that are hard. Kim Roy says, Kutcher is a douche. Proved it when he called his agent instead of a police. Yeah, you know what? He didn't stop at his agent, Kim Roy. If that's all he did, he's a dirtbag. But he called his agent, allegedly, right? Then called Danny Masterson. And then the two of them made a call to someone else. He went into how can I protect myself mode. And if all he was protecting was his reputation, you still didn't call on someone that might have been saved. Now, I don't know if she was or not. I mean, she could have been cold by the time but that's not the point. He didn't know that, right? He didn't know that. But he wasn't tripped about taking 45 minutes, an hour to make sure that, this wasn't going to hurt his career. I mean, stuff's just taken off, right? He had been a model. Now he's got a show, man. I can't have that. Teresa says, I always thought Ashton was a disgusting hypocrite with his performative support of sex trafficking. Yeah, while he partied with folks like Diddy and Masterson. Well, very often people do stuff like this because they do have a hard time sleeping, right? There is that little voice inside of them that goes, yeah, that was really messed up. And then there's another voice in there that goes, man, you better hope that none of these kids ever come forward, or any of these girls. You better hope none of that. So what do? You start doing stuff to make you look like you're a better guy. Allison Metcalf Palumbo says, Tommy, are you actually hard to be around, or do you just assume that you are? No, I'm hard to be around. I wish that I just assumed that, but that's not the case. I've got issues. There are things that are wrong with me, and you don't see them in a 1 hour show, right? But if you hung out with me long enough, you would. And they're not things that are very endearing, Social media attack is such a feminine approach to conflict. The snide reputation savaging. It's very mean girls. You know what? Loving failure. I'm not sure that we've ever had a conversation before, but I want to tell you something. You nailed it. You nailed it. There's a handful of people that have an awful lot of fun saying things about me. Not always even online, sometimes in private or whatever. But they're the kind of people that if you ever get them in the same room, right? And I've had it happen. I'm not kidding you. People that talked trash, said all kinds of things. And then you walk into one of those cons and they're there, right? And you look across the room and you go, holy shit. Do you see who that is? Right? And the convict in you, you make sure your shoes are laced up, right? If you got gloves, you put them on. So you want to mess your hands up. And I just started walking over there thinking, I'm knocking this dude's teeth down the back of his throat. And I got over. And then when I got close, I was about maybe 6 to 8 feet away. He went, Tommy Scoville? I went, yeah, it's exactly who it is, in that tone of voice. And he went, can I get a selfie with you? Swear to you. I went, what? He's like, yeah, no one's going to believe this. Can I get a selfie with you? Sadly, I took a selfie with him. If I could do it all over again, maybe because I was shocked, because I was just like, what? And then when I told my, that's happened to me more than once. Because what it comes down to is these guys are keyboard warriors and they don't think they're ever going to come across you. And the first time they actually do, they're like, oh, shit. Right. Or if you roll into town and say, hey, I'm here, they'll come up with an excuse like you're at the wrong door or I'm sick or any of the other stuff that people say that when you show up in town, they usually get a reason not to come visit. You didn't get your license till 17. Had to get a lot of night driving hours on your permit. And that was hard. We didn't ever have to do that. That's weird. Did you guys ever have to do that? Did you have to get, to like book certain numbers of hours driving at night? Man, I must be older than dirt, but let me tell you how it worked for me. When you hit 15, you went down and got a learner's permit. And all that learner's permit said was if you were in a car with an adult, you could drive. But there was nothing to fill out or any of that crap. You had it for a year or however long you got it. And then when you turned 16, you could go in and in theory, you practiced all of that time. But yeah, there was nobody that, to fill that out or anything. Angie Barnes says, just repeat, I choose happy. Well, that's a good one right there. Kids in New York many times wait because you can't get a full license at 16, and insurance for kids on Long Island is really expensive. Yeah, I would imagine. It is. My family's all from Long Island, Yeah, we all started there at some point. Please don't punch anyone ever, Tommy. We need you we don't need you in prison. Yeah. Well, you didn't hear what they said either, though. Robbie, thank you so much. I appreciate you, man. I really do. You know what? I think that was two of them. Robbie, if you want to say something, right, like you would do it in a super chat, write something out, put a bunch of cues in front of it, and I'll put it up there for you, man. For real. Let's get you up there. Your boys both waited until they were 18. I'll be damned, Judy. Who? Is this a recent thing? How long ago did this happen? Because I was reading that this is a fairly new phenomenon, that they're getting their licenses later and later. I'll tell you something else. It's a fairly new phenomenon. Do you know that people aren't going to proms anymore? For real. Proms are dying. They're a dying breed. Boy, I'll tell you what. Shawn Atwood, if you happen to be catching this one, I love you, brother. Thank you for the help. Boy, do I do well when I go on that channel, people. We get a lot of subscribers from that channel, and they acclimate to the boat in about 30 seconds. I think that says a lot about Shawn. His audience is very, very similar in a lot of ways to the boat. And boy, that's as high a compliment as I can throw out. Kristen Melinda says, social media attacks is also extremely passive aggressive. I am never going to attack somebody on social media ever again. I've done it. I've absolutely done it. Been a hot minute since I've done it, but it's chicken shit. Seriously, it's no less soft than the people that do the keyboard warrior stuff. I'm not there. If I'm gonna put something snarky and I'm not there to answer for it, I'm not doing that ever again. It's just bad form. Hope Between the Dreams. The name of the stream that I was on is the Shawn Atwood Show. He is a host from Great Britain. Excellent host. He's got a very, very cool show. And I've done 3 shows on there so far. All of them have been on the situation with Sean Puffy Combs. And they were called Will Diddy Survive in Prison? 1, 2, and 3. They're 3 different installments of it. And the last one was the most recent, but you should definitely check it out. And I would check out some of the other stuff he does. It's a very, very cool channel. That's the spirit. No one can scream that long near me, and I didn't call the police. I have called the police for less. Well, I think that we've evolved, honestly. Hey, from down under. All right, I love it. All right. Do you know you are the first person that we have ever had? I can't back that up, dude. There are so many people on this boat from Australia and New Zealand. So we have a huge audience, honestly, a huge audience from Australia. In fact, here we go. Elena Flock of Swan Boats. It's an Aussie. And you know what this proves, right? That you guys are all on drugs. I mean, what's the other explanation? How is it that everybody, I'm kidding. It's because we have the same kind of a vibe, I think. Hope, do you mean the ones he did? Oh, because I was also on Surviving the Survivor. I've done the last 3 or 4 I did on Surviving the Survivor were also about Diddy. I'm kind of becoming that Diddy guy, I guess. Hey, Tommy. Hey, chat. Got my pork tenderloin and potatoes in the oven. Why don't you rub that in? Man, that sounds good. Doesn't it? Mud puddle won't be hard to find in Florida. That's Tampa Bay. You rock, Tampa Bay. Renee B says, Tommy, you're the boss. Great job on Shawn's live. All right. When my son went to jail, he was my lifeline for understanding. Well, I'm glad. Honestly, I'm glad. Hey, Kiki, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I mean that. You know what? I want to do good if I go on someone else's channel, but I love it when the audience from the boat comes over. And I swear to you, this is the truth. After we went the first time, he said, man, I've never seen an audience show up like that for somebody. For real. He said, I've never seen an audience show up like that. So I started going back through his stuff. Do you know the number of people he has had on that have 500,000 subscribers or have silver play buttons or have 300,000 subscribers? And he said he's never seen an audience show up like the Lifeboat. I said, man, hell yeah. Like, how cool is that, man? Telling you guys make me proud on the semi-minutely basis, but boy, that was a cool one. Hi, Alex Moore. Denise. It was 4 a.m. for me, but I watched it after I woke up, and it was awesome. I thought it was a good one. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I really did. And as the thing is, what's really funny is they feel really guilty asking you if you've done a couple of them. Like, he cut that short today because, like, when we hung up, he's like, yeah, I couldn't make you do 2 hours. He's like, you've done so much. I was like, dude, I would have done 2 hours. Like, I was having a good time. And I'll tell you something else, people. There are shows you go on and it's nobody's fault. It's just audience stuff. There are shows that you can go on and you're just not going to pick up subs. It's not that kind of deal. And then there are shows that when you go on it, you can look at how many views they get and multiply it by 1 or 2%. And that's what you're going to get for people who hit subscribe. I mean, we were at 20,000 for probably 6 months. We're just hovering, going up and down, but never getting off that 20 mark. And since going on his show, I put 2,000 people in or something. 2,500 people we've put in since going on there. And haven't seen that kind of growth since we were on Growing Up in Scientology back in the early days of the Masterson trial. It was the same kind of a thing. In fact, very similar, almost very similar numbers. I got a lot of subscribers off of Aaron and surviving. Growing Up in Scientology. When I first went on that, I probably got 13,000 subs off of that over, going on a lot. But yeah, you find whatever you're looking for. Boy, it's the truth. You know what, DJ Daddy-O? Everybody could toss a thoughts, prayers, positive messages. Russ, my guy that I do night yard with. I gave Russ the night off because he's a little stressed out. He's got to go and talk to some people in court. And this is stuff from a long time ago, and it's financial stuff. And you know what? I personally think he's going to be okay. I don't think this is going to be a problem. However, it does scare me too. I told him, call me. I'll get you out. Oh, he's stressing now. I've been talking to him all day. He's stressing. Not massively. He's doing a pretty good job, but he's definitely feeling stressed. There's no doubt about that. Indigo says, I just don't consume content I don't like. Simple. There you go. Makes a lot of sense. Lumen, you can't say that. You can't say that, Lumen. Yeah, you better change that sentence up, right? Maybe that one worked in the past, but you fit in fine here, Lumen. I'm sorry. This is home. Robbie, thank you so much. Down under. Yeah, there really is a ton of Aussies for whatever reason. Maybe it's because of the times of the day that we go, but boy, do we have a lot of Aussies. If I even think about something, ads for it pop up. Does that freak you out at all? I demonstrate that for people. The people who say to me, oh no, man, that's not true. It doesn't do that. I will pick an obscure watch, right? A very difficult one to get. And I'll describe like the attributes that I want from it. And then I will predict where they're going to send me because there are only a couple of different watch people that could handle it. They're awful. And they're listening, whether the phone's on, off. It's terrifying stuff. It really is. If I wasn't a YouTuber, I would just leave it in the car. I would go out and get it when I needed it. Goosebump 801 says, I have carefully curated my YouTube algorithm. Well, you did something right. You did something right. I'll tell you what. Well played. My phone's heard about watches here, and now I get ads for them. Well, I'll be damned. That's funny, Kristen Melinda. It really is. That's funny. Can't blame me for that one, but somebody was talking about it. Huh? I found this community by starting YouTube to learn to crochet during the virus. Awesome. We have some very cool people on here. I used to do a little of that myself. I know people laugh when I say that, but I did a lot of that. It's a very popular thing to do in prison. Crocheting's huge. A lot of hats, a lot of other stuff. In fact, I have pimped my hat on here before. It's not here. It's in the other side of the country. But yeah, I made a great one. It's got little balls on the string. It's got a little pom pom. Yeah, you'd be impressed. Tampa B says, I watch more art stuff than anything else. Next would be physics and geography. Hey, where the hell do I fit into that? That seems like an awful long list that I didn't see me on. Huh? Man, you're lucky. I love you, man. I could be getting seriously offended. Tommy, I will be 70 in 1 month, and I think life was much better before the internet. It was. However, I want you guys to think with me for a second. Okay? I want you to think with me for a second. This is brand new. It doesn't feel brand new to us, right? It doesn't. It's like, we were doing this in the 90s. That's not brand new. We've been doing it since the 90s, right? We've been around for what? Thousands of years that we can all agree on. Some people say, hundreds of millions or billions, but I think just about everybody can agree on 8 to 10,000, right? If that's all we were around, then the amount of time that we've had the internet has been this. And I think that when things like this come out, we go to the lowest common denominator. We go to porn, we go to violence, we go to stuff that sucks. And then hustles. How can we rip you off? I just need to put some money into an account. I got 9 million and I just need to deposit some in your account. You can keep almost all of it. Now to get that account started, I'll need $600 or whatever hustle they're running, right? That's what the internet's turned into. But I think that as subsequent generations are born with it, I wasn't born with it. Most of you weren't born with it. But as new generations are being born with it, I have to believe that the next batch of Kurzweils or the next batch of Elon Musks or the next batch of, any of the thinkers that we have currently working on these kind of things, what would Elon Musk be like if he had been born with everything already in existence? Right? Where would he have gone if the technology for the Tesla was already there? If the technology for the returnable rocket was already there? If all of the stuff with computers, he had to invent that stuff because it wasn't already there. There's going to be a new batch of people that come in. I believe the internet is going to be the greatest thing that ever happened to this planet. If it doesn't destroy us in the next couple of years, it has the potential to level the playing field so that people on every single continent speaking any language, right? Any tribe, whatever, will all have the same access to knowledge as somebody at Harvard. I'm sorry, people. That's an effing dream right there. Okay. Whether you're a rich family and you can send your kid to Cambridge, or you come from a poverty-stricken family and the computer you use is one that they lend you from school to take home, I'm telling you, it's we're going to see the internet change in a way that that might save the planet, providing it doesn't kill us all first. Seriously, and I'm not joking. I've thought about this so often and so long. I watch a lovely older lady in Northern England quilt. Nice. Man, you know what? If I can't sleep and I'm stressed out, I watch people repair watches. And I will pick a watch that I'm either working on currently, or it's one I'm about to be working on, or it's one that I fixed a million of. Like there are like 6 or 7 different movements that are used in 1,000 different Bulova watches, but they're the same movements just being recycled. And you get good at working on something if you do a bunch of it. And I cannot begin to tell you how many of those I've worked on, but I will put on and watch a pro do it because it's the funniest thing in the world. I can repair a watch as good as anybody can. I really can. But what a guy will do in a 30-minute video that you watch might take me 30 days. You know what I mean? I'm exaggerating. But honestly, I bet it's probably 10 hours to 1 how much faster they do what they do compared to me. It's like I watch them go like this, and I'm like, come on, man. Come on. That's not real. Nobody could pick up screws that are that small, right? And just at that speed, I'm always like, and trying to set it down, because if you don't get it just right, it falls out. Then you got to pick it back up. Unless it's a political ad, the algorithm seems pretty intent on giving me the middle finger. Well, the political ads, as far as I'm concerned, loving failure, are the middle finger. Fitting in is overrated and not nearly as interesting. We're all a little odd in our own ways. Well, this is probably going to come to as a shock to you, but I'm not much for fitting in these days. I guess I've lost the desire to, sadly. Jeremy Shelton says, and here it comes, the internet is a cesspool of negativity, nonsense, and garbage, especially YouTube. Any service that you can, at the touch of a button, listen to, insert your favorite hairband here, or insert your other favorite hairband here. Songs should be abolished. It's evil. Now, just in case you're actually just listening and not watching, he picked on both ABBA and the Bee Gees. Just say a prayer for the guy, for real. Just say a prayer for him, because he's delusional. He really is. Nobody doesn't like the Bee Gees. Nobody. Everyone likes the Bee Gees. Angie says, I am defensive when people talk so critical about internet, yet never go online. Here's the thing. People who create content, the big red button is how I make a living. The big red button is how I help the people that I help, right? Everything that I do is through this platform. And I love YouTube. I don't badmouth this platform. They've demonetized a bunch of my stuff because they think I talk about drugs like I'm encouraging you to do it. But I still love them. They have given me a platform that has enabled me to reach 22,000 people, which wasn't going to happen if I was standing on a street corner. So I really kind of do dig everything that they're doing here, right? But I've watched it change really big time since I started, and it's kind of a bummer. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, them knocking videos down because I say the word cocaine in it. How am I going to talk to people about getting clean if when they get to that part, I go, do you mean is it the white stuff? Okay. Is it the white stuff that numbs your mouth or makes it taste like crap? Right. I mean, I'm losing credibility. I'm trying to talk to people about something, and it's probably the biggest threat that is facing their existence. And I'm going to be over here playing like $20,000 pyramid with the name of their drug. Tell you what, demonetize it. You guys, honestly, thank God there's a lot of people that help with the memberships and super chats and things like that, because we do get dinged. We do. Not on all of them. And I'll be honest, we were on a great run. For the first year or so, maybe year and a half, every single video we did got dinged. Every one. And I would appeal and I would write to him and say, but nobody ever sees him or listens to him. And then magically out of the blue one day, I had just finished putting up a video, and I went, holy hell, that's green. Why is that green? Like, I had to call my brother. He's like, oh, it's because it's monetized. That means it's now officially monetized. I'm like, so they're not taking it down. And then every video I did from that point on, no problem. Then I went to Kansas City. And when I went to Kansas City, I took time away. Spanky was doing some stuff. And I mean, I did some videos, but I didn't do them consistently. And I don't know whether it was the new voice of my son being on the channel or what the deal was, but they started dinging us again. And I know that eventually someone will get the appeals, and they'll look at it and go, oh, hell, this is an anti-drug. She's not telling people to get high, or at least not normally. Sharona definitely dances to the beat of her own drum. It isn't a bad thing in most cases. No, I agree with you. You come on like a dream. YouTube is incredible. I've learned how to grout, caulk, and figure out my new factory vacuum. My husband bought me this week because of it. Absolutely. DNV says, Tommy, did Spanx figure out the roach problem? I love my son more than I love all of you. I love my son more than I love anything on planet Earth. And let me tell you something. I wouldn't put my kid in a roach-infested place. I love Spanky, and I'd say it with him in the room. Spanky went on a working vacation for 3 weeks, right? If you're going to leave a home in this part of the world for 3 weeks, it better be hermetically clean when you leave. Because if it is not, if there's foodstuffs out or anything else, because in apartments, what happens is they're in there. They're in the walls. They're living there. And they're waiting to see which one of those people don't clean up real well. They're not going to go and scrounge around for morsels in a clean place. They're going to go to a place that left a lot of food dropped and laid out. Not busting my kid's chops, but if he was being honest, he might say that he could have cleaned a little better. He's cleaning his ass off now, I'll tell you what. He has been going completely nuts with it now. So yes, he is cleaning up. Long answer there, but yeah. Loving Failure says, I've been trying to fit in almost my whole life, missing the fact that wherever I am, I already belong there. You know what? You fit in here. I don't know what that says about us, but you fit in here. What are trigger point injections? A hair-thin needle that will deliver a blast of Novocaine, same stuff that numbs you out before you get your tooth drilled, directly into the nerves in your back or wherever they happen to be doing it. More often than not, it's the back. The concept is Novocaine will numb the nerve for 8 hours. If by some chance you get relief for 8 hours and 20 minutes, 20 minutes of that wasn't real. That was the nerve thinking that you were getting relief even though you weren't. And that means that they can actually stretch that out over time, doing it more and more and more. You can get to a point where you only have to have that shot maybe every other day or every third day. It's a very cool concept is what it is. Yep. And Hope said I had a great success with Trigger Point. I did too. Loving Failure. Why don't you put your link up in the chat? Because I don't know. You said that you did a video and it felt like it was a good one. Tell people where they can go see it. And if you tell people where they can go see it, one of the wrenches can take that and throw a link up and make it easier. But if you're out there making ripples, hey, Johnny Scoville. But if you're out there making ripples, I think that would be a good thing. To ice the site, Hope Between the Dreams. They used to use a spray on me. They have this spray that they would go up and down your back with, and it just numbs the skin. I honestly, maybe it's because of how I got high, but those little needles never bothered me at all. Like I mean, by the end, it's just that you've had so many of them, but it doesn't hurt going in. You guys are very kind, by the way. It is amazing how the crew shows up over on other channels for me. Again, it says a lot about this crew. It says as much about this crew, I promise you. I'm glad to hear that, Indigo. This boat has also really helped me. Am I earning frequent flyer points? Yes, I am. I'm earning a lot of frequent flyer points. It's pod season, Dale. Yeah, it is pod season. There's no way around that. This is when Johnny Scoville eats pods. A lot of pods. Miss Sunrise Dawn is caught up. I'm going to have to start talking really quickly so she feels like we're still doing it at double time. I'm going to wrap this up here pretty quick, people, but I'll answer a few more questions. You love hearing my prison stories. Who was the craziest inmate you ever met? Like, I mean, I didn't get to hang out with this guy, but you want like real crazy? I had a cellmate for a very, very brief period of time. I'm talking about 8, maybe 9 minutes. And he was certifiably mentally damaged, or he was putting on the best show you've ever seen. But I walked into a cell. I've told the story on a boat before, but I walked into the cell and I heard, and I went, the hell is that? You know what I mean? Like cells are not big, and you talk yourself into something, probably a vent or whatever. I hear it again. Now, if there was somebody else in the cell, they would have made that person cuff up before I went in. I'm in the shoe. So I'm like, what the hell? And so I start bending down like this, and the guy is underneath the bottom bunk, growling at me because dude's a dog, right? Acts like it. I mean, in every way, shape, and form, this dude is acting like a dog, you know? And which is pretty frightening. So I bang on the door instantly. And the cop came back. I mean, he wasn't even 5 feet away. And I went, yo, what the actual, you know what? And I go, what's the deal? And he goes, oh no, he's all right. He's like, honestly, he's not a bad dude. I go, he's barking. And he's like, well, he thinks he's a dog, but it's not going to bother you. I'm like, it's bothering me already. The dude's barking. And I'm like, how do you feed him? I swear to you. He goes, well, we'll put some food down there on the floor, and he eats it off the tray. And I'm like, and licks water out of the cup. He's like, he drinks out of the toilet. I said, pop this mother loving door, because I'm not doing any time with this guy. And then he's got the, you know what, to say to me. Yeah, you don't run this place. I said, I beg your pardon? Tampa Bay. He said, you don't run this place. And I said, what does that mean? He said, you're not going to tell me where you're going to go and anything else. And I went, okay. And I said, can you hold 1 second? He said, sure. And I said, I just want you to mail this for me. And I took a piece of paper and I wrote on it, right? Dear Warden, I am going to stomp my cellie out like a brush fire. He thinks he's a dog. I told the cop I didn't want to live with him. He said, tough luck. I'm just telling you, I hope I don't end up really hurting this guy bad. And then I handed it to the cop. And he goes, it's supposed to be in an envelope. I said, no need. It's going to the warden. And the idiot walked away. Like he was gone probably 4 minutes before he came back and went, hey, we need to talk. I said, no, we don't. You need to get this dude out of here right now. And he's like, I'm not going to do that, but I'll get you out of there. That was about the craziest that I'd seen. I saw another one where a guy was smoking that K2 stuff, and out of the blue, he just started to scream at the top of his lungs. And I mean like blood curdling, high pitched. And he's screaming to the point where his body's shaking. We're all like, what the deuce is this? I mean, it's not something you normally see. And he's yelling louder and louder and louder. And finally the cops came over and they're like, hey man, calm down. And they hit the button. So 1 million cops show up and they go, lock it down, get in your cell. Well, I end up in my cell and I'm looking directly out I can see out, right? And I can watch where they're taking this guy out. And one of those things that just really, really cracked me up. And I know it's probably not funny to the real world, but he wouldn't get onto the little cart to go to medical. So 4 of these guys tackle him, right? And they hog tie him. They take his legs, cross him, and pull him all the way up on their back, and then tie him to your hands that are crossed all the way up. So you could literally pick this dude up like luggage, right? And I go, oh my God, look how nasty they're tying this guy. And my cellmate, who honestly never said a funny thing the entire time I knew him, he goes, yeah, that's not going to help his buzz at all. And it cracked me up. I cannot begin to tell you how bad it cracked me up. Susan Smith killed her children. She allowed her car to go down into a body of water with her kids in it because she didn't want to be a mom. She drowned them all to death. Very nice. It was Diddy's dad, some big time gangster. Sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds good. It's a hell of a story. He worked for a gangster. You say Aaron did one on Ashton. All right. Yeah. Someone else mentioned that earlier. Donna says ASL mentioned the good friendship with Diddy, his involvement with Thorne. Well, it sounds like he covered it pretty good. Maybe I'll skip it. Sounds like it's been done. No, you're not too late, Lee. Good to have you. So here's the deal with Diddy's old man. Diddy's dad they say he was an enforcer for the mob. He definitely worked for some people that sold H in Harlem, right? He did. Now the story goes, 2 different stories. If you hear the one that Diddy tells, there was an accident or a drive-by. There's some BS, and his dad was a hero and a pimp, and he made good money. The guy was a gangster, and he got it from him. My dad was a gangster. His dad was a rat. Right? That's the real story. And I'll tell you something. By the way, I'm not pissed at him. He didn't rat on me, right? Didn't rat on anybody I know. It's got nothing to do with me. But the story goes that he ratted on his own gang. And there's actually a funny thing about it at the end too. He was willing to wear a wire, but there was something he was supposed to go to. When they said, you got to wear a wire on Tuesday or whatever, he's like, what? Wear a wire? I can't do that on Tuesday. Can we do that in a couple of other days? He got shot to death when Diddy was between 2 and 3 years old. So couldn't have been much of an influence in his life other than the reputation and the stories he heard, because he wasn't around. Cherish high vibes. Good to see you. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, how many murder scenes have you been at? The average person. I mean, how many murder scenes have you been at? Like, I've been at a couple, but it was because prison is kind of that kind of place. You think that Mila was, there's an interesting take. She doesn't think that Mila knows exactly what she's gotten herself into, and that she's been ensnared by a malignant narcissist. It's about as legitimate a theory as anybody else is going to come up with, right? I mean, that's probably how it's going to go down. People said 15 and 16 is absolutely fine. It wasn't in the state that I lived in. In the state that I lived in, that's called statutory. Not anymore, by the way, but it was then. Tincture's hot, dude. I drank a few bottles of it. I'm never doing it again. I dated an 18-year-old when I was 15. He was 4 years ahead of me in school. We were both sophomores. Happens a lot. It happens a lot. Tommy, have you ever tried tracking how you're feeling physically, emotionally, and energy level related with these crazy solar storms? I have not. And you would think that since I worked with, the authority on this, that I would have done that, because my old partner was, that's, wages, and he's got it down. Wages was solid. I should have been asking him. Oh, the nurse. Well, thank you. No, what happens is people run with it and say, he's with a 15-year-old. Well, that does sound bad. I'm 54 friggin' years old. That sounds pretty ugly, but it's not quite as ugly when you're 16. But, and by the way, I've covered that on here before. And if you want to go back and listen to it, like I covered the whole story, I'm not doing it again. But since it was on the subject matter today, I thought I would bring it up. Dell Plummer, also from Australia. Dell, good to see you. Good to see you. It's always hard for me to breathe through patience when I hear you make gender statements like they want to wipe the boy out of life now. I'm a feminist, and no, that's not what others want. Tell you what, Teresa, we won't argue this way because it's pointless. There's going to be a 40-second to a 60-second delay on that, but I would love to have you come on and we'll talk about it in person. So send me an email, put your name in the for the subject matter. Okay. Put your name in the subject matter and you can come on. You can tell me what they're not doing. What you think they're doing. And I will tell you what I think they're doing. And we'll say, put it out a week or two so you can get footnotes, evidence, and anything else you want to get. And then we can have a debate where we will leave best of friends afterwards while looking at each other, right? It'll be a lot more like human beings, but to do this way, what I'm reading from you, you might have written 5 minutes ago. So when I respond to it, it's not going to really do a whole lot to make a whole lot of sense, if you understand what I'm saying, right? But I'm not going to do it now. It's pointless to do it now. If you would like to come on and talk to me about it, though, I would be more than happy to put you on and allow you to come and talk to me about it. I think that would be great. And maybe people will. Maybe you will sway some people, and maybe you'll sway me. I'm not sure, but it's certainly worth a try, right? Yeah, Badger Life, it kind of feels that way, doesn't it? Huh? It kind of feels that way. Perry, good to see you. If Ashton hadn't lied, they could have prosecuted the murderer for that case. He got off there because of Ashton, and then knocked off more people, which is really the sin behind that. Yeah. Loretta Brown, very kind. Nice thing to say. Spike Z says she was killed by the Hollywood Ripper, and she was. She absolutely was. That's the way that goes. Elizabeth Grundy, you do not have to apologize for being late. I'm just glad you're here. Cheeky, good to see you. What's happening? Shawn is a good listener, no question, right? No question. He's an excellent listener. And the questions he asks, I mean, honestly, here's the deal. I mean, how many questions can you ask a guy about, going to prison or being whatever, right? You're gonna run into a limit. He asked me so many questions no one else has ever asked me. I thought that was crazy. It really was. Robin says, I used to live near Clearwater, where Scientology's headquarters is. I once parked down the street and watched their students, air quotes. They all dressed alike and acted like robots. Spooky. Yeah, I went there with Reese and with a few other people, and they're scared to hell of us. We're suppressive people. They're scared to hell. Like, they see us and run back inside and lock the door. There is a great clip of film of Reese Quibell talking to somebody. It was honestly, if they hadn't yanked him in, she was happy for the dude. The dude had reached the level of clear, and she remembered how exciting that was for her then. He's not a scumbag because the Church of Scientology is hustling him. He's a guy looking for a better life, right? He didn't do anything wrong. And she just said, oh, you hit clear. Congratulations. And there was this moment where the two of them really looked like they were happy, right? And it was a beautiful thing. And they came out and went, get in here, get away from her, and just yanked this guy out. And it was, I don't know, you can go out there and tell 5,000 stories and complain and everything else, but that clip was one of the most, it was just one of the most intense things I've ever seen to show you what that cult is about. And no one had to yell or get crazy or anything else. No, Sea Org minions, yeah, they work forever. You're right. They're not indentured servants. They're going to work forever. What happened to the charity Ashton was connected to? I assume it's still in business, but it's just an assumption. They may have shut it down. I don't know. If it's still in business, he has removed his name from it as far as he possibly could. Right? Because, I mean, he's not one you would want. You don't want this dude near your charity or near anything, because it's just going to look bad. You know what I mean? It's just going to look bad. Deeming says, Admiral, travel is very stressful. Maybe when you land in Bug Tussle, you could take one night at a hotel just to decompress. I'm in Bug Tussle. Oh, you mean the next time? You mean? Okay. Tell us about my issues. Del Plumber. No, well, I'm not going to do that. And I'll tell you why. I share an awful lot. But there are aspects of my health and my personal life that you don't want to hear. I mean, I promise you don't, right? You'd rather just, I mean, we're having a really good time. I love you guys. You love me. I don't want anybody depressed. I don't want anybody bummed out. I don't want any of that, right? We can do what we do here and stay pretty solid this way. Today, I told someone all about you, the lifeboat, this community, and the mods, how they keep us safe, and all the support here. Thank you all. Wow, what a cool comment, huh? She told them all about the boat. She really nailed it, right? Really nailed it, because what makes this place fantastic is you guys. And I'm not blowing sunshine up your butt. This is really, I promise you. And people go, you know what? Everybody says that. Go watch another channel. Any of them. Go watch another channel and watch the people interact and watch what happens. The audience is the show here. I take what you guys say and we kind of riff off that. Reese does the same thing, right? But that's rare. It really is. It's rare. And it's rare because it's hard, right? Super hard. You're tap dancing. What if the crowd doesn't say anything interesting? Then you're screwed and it's going to be a really bad show, right? Yeah. You go, no. If you're good enough, you can get through. Wrong. You do need an audience that says intelligent and funny things. You do. Fortunately, I have a really good audience. You guys are sharp as a tack. Some of the funniest things that people have ever said. And some things, again, I was doing a show here on the Diddy thing, and we were talking about the abuse of Cassie that we saw on film. And it was one of you here that said he beat that woman, kicked her, picked up a vase and threw it at her, and never lost his towel. He did all that with one hand, right? How many times do you think he has practiced that? And I'm telling you, that floored me. And people, I like to pride myself on the fact that I look at these things and try to look at angles that other people hadn't. I was so damn impressed. I can't remember who the person is, but every time I bring it up, I say, I feel guilty using it as my own. I say, somebody in my chat said this, and I was so impressed that I thought, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna remember this, because that really was something. If you live somewhere where you can live without a car and there's no place to park it for free, you learn not to drive. I guess so. I'll be honest with you. I'm getting to the point where I'm probably just going to back off on that. I don't see a point in me riding around in a car very often. I mean, if I'm in Tucson, it in the summer it gets really, really hot, but I like, and before anybody goes nuts, I don't ride motorcycles on freeways or any of that. I like riding dirt, but I have enduros, right, that you can take on road or on dirt, and I love them. And they get 75 miles to the gallon, and they're super cheap, and they cost nothing to insure. And damn it, I think they're great. I really do. Yeah, and they're so easy to park. Yeah, proms are almost out of business. That's true. Dory says, I never knew Bug Tussle is a real place. I've thought till now you guys made it up to refer to country living. Well, I did not make that up. It was the Beverly Hillbillies. It is where Granny and Jed Clampett were originally from. In fact, that's where they were hunting for some food when up from the ground came a bubbling crude. Lori Abs, good to see you, Lori. How are you? Hey, Lenny. Good to see you. My daughter couldn't wait to drive ASAP. Seems like half her friends don't drive. I couldn't wait. Yeah, the world really is changing. It is, isn't it? I just walked to a dad the other day who was complaining that he spent $600 on his daughter's senior prom dress. Wow. Why would you do that? Because is he a bad parent if he doesn't? Is that how that works? God, would you like to see what else that kid is flogging him for? That's a very expensive dress. All I know is love is the only way, always and forever. Well, it's a beautiful sentiment, isn't it? I have always said if the things that you're doing are moving you closer to love, then you're probably doing the right thing. If they're moving you away from love, maybe you're not. Do I ever watch Jumpsuit Pablo? I have. No disrespect for Jumpsuit Pablo. I like his content. I really do. I dig his content. But he did he did a spoof about being kidnapped. It was very realistic. And he came out afterwards and joked about it and said, you know what? Made a bunch of money off of this. Here's what we made on TikTok, but we were just playing with your stuff. Right around the time that was happening, I had a friend that we couldn't find, and the world kind of thought that he had been kidnapped. And maybe, I don't know. I didn't think it was funny. And that's it. I mean, I like the stuff that he does. But that one floored me, man. It really did. Not that it's any of my business, but I would not do that to you people. I think it would be really jacked up. I immediately thought of my audience, right? I immediately thought of my audience, and I thought, would I ever do that to get, for views? Would I go out to my audience and lie and say, I'm missing and said all that? And no, I wouldn't. The answer is I could never do that. And it's not, I'm sure it was great money, right? I'll bet it was incredible money because people were worried. I don't want my audience stressed out like that. 5 months, Tampa Bay, and they said it wouldn't last. I really don't want to stress out my, my audience and put them through that for a paycheck. I struggled with that, but the guy's definitely been to prison, and he's a very intelligent dude, right? A lot of times when people have been to prison, you kind of feel like, obviously they're not the brightest bulb, right? That's how they end up in prison. And some of the people who do prison channels aren't very bright. He happens to be a bright guy. So yeah, I think the content he puts up, I like it. Like, I don't have anything bad to say about him. It just made me uncomfortable. I was really worried about the cat, which I guess is, he was doing that as a form of like art or something, but it bummed me out. I was truly worried. And again, we were looking for somebody who we thought may have been kidnapped at the time. And if you guys have been around for any length of time, you know who it is, right? As it turns out, he had been found in his house, but that was during that same period of time. He was found in his house deceased, but it was during that same period of time. And it ended up putting me in and again, not mad at the guy, right? It's his hustle and he's good at it. He's an excellent content creator. Excellent. And again, I think he's a stand-up cat, but I don't get a chance to watch as much stuff as I would like. One of the only things that I watch pretty regularly is JD Delay. And JD reminds me so much of a cellmate that I had that it's just a trip. I had a cellmate that his name was Rev, and the two of them were, honest to God, except one had jet black hair, but they are identical. The way they talk, everything. The Lifeboat and its Ripples are the first and only YouTube channel I have ever made real friends on. Wow. How cool is that? How cool is that? It makes my day. You know what? I've made a lot of friends on this too, man. I've made an awful lot of friends on this, on the Big Red Button in general. And I probably will, do you know what? Did I miss a super chat? What time is it? No, I think I got that. JD Delay is amazing, is he not? Yeah, I really dig JD. I dig him. I think the guy does. And here's the deal. I don't love all prison content. I don't. A lot of it to me is just, it's gratuitous, where we get together and we talk about how sick everybody inside is and the damage that everybody inside is, and it paints this image of everybody in there just being monsters. And the truth of the matter is, it's a pretty small group of people in there that are monsters, right? Make a lot of noise, but the vast majority are just guys that want to go in there, do their time. Admittedly, they don't want to do their time sitting next to freaks, but they want to be able to do their time and kind of be left alone. And so I don't watch a lot of prison stuff because they celebrate the worst parts of prison. JD is a guy that talks so often about the same kind of things that we do. Turning your life around. The fact that just because you had a drug problem doesn't mean you have to be a drug addict, practicing drug addict your entire life. Or because you went to prison doesn't mean you got to keep going back until you pass away, right? These are cycles that can be broken. I love his message. Yes, you saw me talking on Shawn Atwood's channel about my pain management. My prescription was 80 OxyContin. They were 12 OxyContin 80s is what it is. Not 80 12s. Yeah, it was. I was getting 12 OxyContin 80s a day. What was the taper? No taper. No taper. They offered me a different drug instead, but there was no, okay, we're going to step you down and then we're going to put you on this. What they said is, we're not going to, the insurance company's not paying for that anymore. You have to get off of it, but we can put you on methadone, which of course I just thought was for junkies and I didn't have a drug problem or I didn't think I did. But they gave me 300 milligrams of methadone instead. And if you know anything about methadone, try taking 300 milligrams for 7 or 8 months and see what it does for you. Man, people, I screwed up every way you could, except I just did it really, really bad. Well, a lot of sick people don't end up in prison, to be sure. That was Kristen Melinda said that. A lot of people do not end up in prison for sure. There you go. That's a good way to say it. He's making things better. He's going out of his way to leave the earth a better place than he found it. And you know what? There's not a lot of people out there that didn't go to prison who can say that, right? Honestly, how many people do you know every single day of their life are doing things to try to make other people's lives better? That's just not something you see a lot of. So I'm pretty fired up with what JD does. I would love to do a collab with him. I've made that. I've definitely put that out there. I've sent some. I've sent messages everywhere I could, and if it comes up and we can do a collab, I think that would be great. I think we'd have a pretty good time with it. We definitely believe in the same things, which is I think that's always nice. We all have dark spaces, not just convicts. Carol, you're right. The difference between the two, the dark spaces among convicts, like everybody in there's a little dark, but the stuff that people do on the street, if you go in and if your crimes are foul, don't let anybody here BS you, man. If your crimes are no good, I promise you, they're going to make it very difficult on you. Wow. CBC, that sucks. I'm so sorry to hear that. Hey, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I don't play a doctor on TV. I never went to med school. I was a drug addict that did a ton of dope, right? So I'm not recommending squats, not who I am. But if it were me, right? CD, do you have a pen? I would ask my doctor about nalbuphine, name brand Nubain, Nubain. It's an injectable. And it is a very unique drug. It's different than a lot of others. Just talk to your pain specialist about it, and see what they say. It was designed for people that struggle with the morphine molecule. What if you're allergic to morphine? Every single friggin' pain med on the planet is either morphine or a synthetic morphine, right? So what can you do? Well, you can take nalbuphine. It was designed in theory in the beginning to give women who can't take morphine during childbirth, right? Because childbirth sucks. So they had to give them something. And if morphine wasn't an option, that's what they came up with, was nalbuphine or Nubain. And I know people that have struggled with both methadone and then Suboxone who were able to wean off with that. I'm not a doctor. I hang out with people who party. Talk to your doctor and see what your doctor says. I do think everyone leaves prison more traumatized than when they went in. I agree. And I think that most of us are never the same again afterwards. All right, people. That brings me to the top of the show here. I really appreciate all of your kindness. I really do. And I will see all of you we like having you here. Welcome to the boat. I will see all of you again. I would imagine tomorrow, right? Probably. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. All right. Thank you for all you do. I love you guys. Bye-bye.